I'm sorry?
Smaller crowd, we can talk injuries?
Nope.
Okay.
Guys, we're going to start waiting for when I have to give reports and stuff like that. So.
Well, I do want to ask about some guys who were out there. Logan Thomas, Kendall, just how did they look?
Look good. They really did. A few days off has done both those guys wonders.
The other one is for Sam and Eric. How do their skill sets complement? How does Sam's skills maybe complement what Eric wants to do offensively?
Well, I think the biggest thing, most anything else, is really just his whole football acumen. Everything from how good a student he is to a guy that can take what's being called and translated in his mind as to how to execute. His skill set, I think, is very conducive to a lot of the stuff that we want to do because of his arm talent. And then his athletic ability, I think, helps and adds on to some of the things that Eric wants done. I think Eric's done a terrific job with, again, not just Sam, but with the other two quarterbacks, because I really do think it's a good room, and I'm very happy with those guys. And, being able to have that kind of room, especially for Sam, is a good thing in terms of his learning and growth.
And then do you still expect some more moves to be made with the roster?
I think for the most part, we went ahead and explored every avenue, and we're very comfortable with where we are right now. I think, a lot of things that we have are guys that we anticipated having.
You brought back pretty much everybody you had cut except for Jabril Cox. What was it about him that you wanted to?
Well, we remember the young man coming out at LSU. He's a physical specimen, young man that can run and can make an impact. And again, it's one of those things that he'll have to learn, he'll have to grow, but he's got the skill set that you're looking for as far as that position is concerned. And as I said, he's a guy that we really did like coming out of the draft that year.
I know we typically ask you about Sam, how's he progressing as a quarterback and all that. You've presumably got to know him a lot better over these last several months working with him. What have you just learned more about him, the person, that maybe you didn't know as much about last year?
I'll tell you, he's believe it or not, he's got a sense of humor. I mean, he's so stoic and so even, but he's got a good sense of humor. He really does, and he can laugh at himself as well.
With Logan, where does he have his greatest impact in this offense?
I think his overall knowledge of the game. He helps others as well as the guys around him, but he also has this ability to understand what's happening as the game's happening. This is a guy who's a former quarterback, so he sits there and he looks at the coverages and he knows instantly. You know what I'm saying? It's from his training that a lot of the things he does will translate into making the right decisions in terms of route running and how to present himself open to the quarterback.
His strength at the catch point, is that something you've seen him develop over the years, or is that just his frame? He's big.
I think it's his frame. I think it's an innate ability. I think part of it has to be with having been a quarterback, understanding what it's like to get it and how to protect the football. So when people are around him, you can see that he uses his body very well. It reminds me a lot of Greg Olson, who was a guy that could use his body to keep that distance between the ball and the defender.
Have there been any moments on tape this preseason where you've noticed Sam adjusting to the people around him? Hey, this lineman blocks this way, or this receiver runs a certain route this way.
I think you see it mostly when you look at the receivers, where he throws the ball, how he throws the ball to certain guys. You see some of them, he'll throw a little bit more of a teardrop as opposed to putting the ball a little bit on the line. So he understands and he's getting that kind of rapport with his guys.
Is there any specific route or player that stands out?
No, need to tell anybody.
And what specifically do you want to see in terms of growth from Jabril Cox? Like, what would he need to learn to contribute?
Well, obviously, first is learning the X's and O's of what we're doing, how we do it. I mean, he's got the skill set, and he can be a high-impact guy because of his abilities, his athleticism. So the big part will be, grasping what we do and then us finding the best way to use him and play him.
With Sam and EB, have you noticed things on film that scheme things that help a young quarterback in terms of just getting the ball quickly, things that are designed to benefit Sam's growth?
There was actually a very good example in practice today. They were talking about a specific play, and the linebacker came up, and right off the bat, EB was telling him, hey, look, when you got this, you should be thinking this, and then you could see Sam go, okay, I got it. So, yeah, you can see that they've built that kind of rapport already. It's just getting stronger and stronger with every day and every practice. I mean, That's one of the really cool things, that when you watch EB, you know that he knows he's working with a young quarterback when he's talking to Sam, but then you watch him and see how he handles Jacoby, and it's a completely different thing. And it's true for the way he deals with all the other players around him. He understands who's young, who's old. He understands who he can take jabs at. He understands who he can have a little bit of fun with. So that's really kind of a cool thing to watch and see as these guys build the kind of rapport that you need when you're the primary play caller.
In Arizona, I have an Arizona question for Jonathan Gannon declined to name a starter. They cut Colt McCoy. How does that factor into specifically? Is that Jonathan Gannon cited competitive advantage? Is that actually an advantage for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about it for us more than anything else is, they're relatively new in terms of what they do offensively, schematically. In his eyes, both quarterbacks have a different skill set, which we see. And so because of it, you're going to have to do certain things and say, okay, if this guy's in, we'll do this guy's in, we may do that. So you do have some sort of an advantage when you create that kind of mystery.
Did that throw you at all that they released Colt McCoy?
Not necessarily, because for the most part, with what they do offensively, you could see their young quarterback was doing. So there was a lot of similarities there. And just go back and look at the Cleveland tape. Their offensive coordinator comes from Cleveland. So a lot of the stuff that they do, you see that Cleveland was doing as well, as far as running game, as far as some of their run games, some of their routes, their route concepts that they use. So just how they use it and how they use it for each quarterback is a new thing for us. And it was going to be like that anyways, depending on – it didn't matter who the quarterback was going to be because you're never really sure what they're going to do until it starts.
With Jabril, what kind of role do you see for him?
Well, I mean, we got to see how he fits and how he looks for us. I mean, there's some things that his skill set says he'll be able to do, and so we're going to see.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right. Let me see. Where is it? It's not under here. It is. Hey, where's David at? Satchel, where are you at? I understand you're retired.